Don't you start that.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro.
13.
Yeah, I'm right.
Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. Hey, JB.
What's up, Chris?
There's obviously a lot of hoopla around this game. How do you handle that?
I mean, it's another game. That's it. You obviously learn things when you come to organizations and understand the history and pay attention. So you understand, the why, but we do the same thing every day. We prepare the same way every day. We don't change our approach or mentality for any reason. So today was no different than Sunday, which was no different than Friday.
And then Jarrett's obviously listed as questionable. His status tonight is
questionable.
Great.
You're welcome.
JB, David McBenman, ESPN. I just want to ask you about the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
I told you.
You guys got a taste of the playing tournament last year, and with such a young core that can do so much in their development. Can the playoff-like atmosphere that tonight should bring? Can it be something that your team takes to just as they progress?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, every opportunity is an opportunity to learn. Every experience that we've had is an opportunity for us to learn, and that's the only way we will. There's been no team that I can remember that, made it to the top or reached their potential without going through some of those battles and some of those experiences. And to be honest with you, failing in those experiences and then figuring out, the next game or the next season, how you adjust. And I think, for us last year, it wasn't just the play-in tournament that was important for us. It was games versus Chicago, when we were fighting for seeding, Brooklyn, the same thing like that we took, and we had, those learning experiences. And, again, it's one of those things that you guys have to go through it, as much as it sucks, they have to fail and then they have to figure it out. So, we're taking all these experiences that way and, hopefully continuing to learn, and the guys who have been through it, sharing their knowledge and understanding, and then expecting a little more from them in those moments as well.
What do you appreciate most about LeBron as a player?
I think he's one of the greatest planners that we've ever seen in our game. He's had from a young age a vision of who he wanted to become, not only as a basketball player, but as a member of a community, as a businessman, the thing that he's been able to do with his groups of friends, like, and put them in positions to be successful. Those aren't things that you just trip and fall into. Those are things that you have to have incredible insight to be able to understand. I think what we're going to see out of him and, his impact is going to outlast his NBA career. And I think take a guy who was, 18 or 19 years old. He was planning that then. And I don't know if we've seen someone who's been able to do anything like that. His basketball accomplishments, as a fan, they speak for themselves in my mind. To be able to do what he's done for as long as he's been able to do it, you have nothing but respect. And it's one of those things we talk to our guys about, like every single night, because of who he is, he takes his opponent's best shot. And how many nights is he still great, right? Like that is not easy. And then you throw 20 years of that in. And that's one of the most difficult things that I can imagine having to be faced with and have to accomplish, and have to live up to everything that you guys run around talking about. And I think he's done that in spades.
Spencer Davies, basketballnews.com. Anthony Davis obviously has been on the roll. He's getting a lot of his points in the paint right now. What are you hoping to accomplish defensively against him? Because, obviously you got to get something up, but he's been on a tear inside so far.
That's where we hope our size has an advantage, and, we can make it difficult on him. We have 2 7-foot guys out there who are elite at protecting the paint. And like, these are the moments where you really test your mettle when you have a guy like that who has been dominant in the painted area and, his skill set. What are you capable of? What do you learn and what do you need to do? And understanding like this isn't a one-man job. I think we've seen, what's happened along the way when teams have decided to single coverage him. He's been extremely efficient and effective. So this is going to come down to our team. And, everybody that's on the floor when he's on the floor is going to have to go out and, try to limit him as much as you possibly can and see if you can make him take as many fadeaways or contested threes as you can.
And as much of a big, help he was on defense, Jarrett coming back if he does, what does he do for you on the playmaking end and helping open everything up for everybody else?
He plays with the vertical spacing that changes the game for, everybody. Teams have to make decisions on, who's going to stop him at the rim. Typically, the only guy who's out there that can do that is the big. So now that clears a lane for our guards who are penetrating, who are attacking. And if you want to bring in a third guy to try to stop him early, that creates room for shooters on the perimeter. So, teams have to make adjustments and they have to make decisions when Jarrett's on the floor, because that's going to create, again, opportunities for the other guys that are around him.
Joe Barton, The Athletic. JB, you mentioned a little bit of Tom's question, but you weren't here, of course, when LeBron played here. In your role now, do you feel the impact that he had and has on this organization?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, because, having been a lot of places, everybody uses the term championship organization, right? There's not that many championship organizations, to be honest with you. When you have someone who's carried a team as far as he did, as consistently as he did, there's certain standards as an organization that you have to live up to. There's certain resources that you have to be afforded. There's certain conversations that you have to keep up, if not exceed everybody else in the league that's around you. And I think we're the beneficiaries of that. There is not a thing that we've asked for that, we've all felt that could be a competitive advantage that we've been told no. And what to me is most impressive is, even in the years following when we weren't as good, that didn't change. And again, it's a standard was set. And we've been fortunate enough to be with an ownership group and a front office that's been able to hold us to that standard.
This was more so last year, especially when there was some outside excitement about the possibility that he would come back here again. And I think Darius, maybe a couple other guys, mentioned that they wanted to write their own chapter without him. What do you think that looks like? How does that chapter get written?
It's only written by, success and possibly exceeding or accomplishing the same thing that he's been able to accomplish here. And that's the goal and the objective and the challenge for all of us, right? It's difficult to follow in the footsteps of someone who was arguably the greatest at anything. As a player, you see that, that, you feel that when you're walking around the community and you see everybody in the jerseys and those types of things. It's not easy. And the only way to do it is, in a team setting, get to where that person has got and accomplish those things. So, our guys are competitive, right? They're learning, but I think ultimately we're all on the same page that that's what they want, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
And then I'll write down people. JD, I asked you the other night about, and you mentioned teams are playing Darius a little bit more physically, and you mentioned you need to do more to make sure, prevent that from happening. After just kind of sleeping on it, thinking about it a bit, what more can you and your staff do just from the sidelines to make it a little easier on Darius out there?
I think it's the sets that we run, the actions that we run, where we can clean them up a little bit. Bringing them off of multiple screens where people can't touch them, they can't put their hands on them, and if they do, it's clear fouls. In the pick and roll or screening actions, setting the screens more, being more physical at that point to create separation where his speed and skill set can now be a factor. But I think that's one of the things is, you can't hit what you can't catch. I think we've got to do a better job of helping him create that space so that he can continue to be aggressive and continue to shine.
LeBron has the capacity to be a bit of a showman against the Cavs. How do you, and with just the fans, like you said, just kind of how much he needs this organization in general, just the city, how do you prepare your guys not to kind of get caught up in this moment and maybe not let it get past them when they realize, oh shit, we're down 40 points all of a sudden? obviously dramatic
Jesus.
example.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, damn. Well, let's hope it doesn't get there. But no, it's, what happens tonight, isn't a representation of just tonight. What happens tonight with that in mind is, what we've set out to do from the beginning of the season, from last year, since we've been here, is, you hold yourself to something, and you expect guys to live up to it. If you're not coaching that way, or if you're not building an environment that's based on that, these moments, can become too big. And that's not to say that this is a, win it by any means basketball game. We go out, we play our best basketball against a really good team and see what happens. But in the NBA, things happen. But this isn't just a one game on itself. Like, you've seen the character of our team. You've seen the resiliency of our team. You've seen the selflessness, the ability to compete. So, tonight is just not any bigger than any other night. Like, Sunday night we laid a stinker. That happens in the NBA. How do you bounce back with your competition and those types of things is what's important as a whole, and not just on small individual games.
All right, so wrap it up, Coach. Thanks,
Thank you, JB.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.